I'd like to first off thank everybody for being here this week for our fourth recording of the Patriotic Dragon radio show. As always, I want to first thank our sponsors. This month is Rocco's Pub and Grill, and of course our host WYYZ and Matt Youngblood and his team. Our show is designed to bring honest, open, thoughtful conversation back with ideas and opinions from and to our community with topics from across the spectrum, allowing groups and individuals to be a part of the process for a better, brighter future. And we want to educate, inform, and inspire. Just as a disclaimer, the opinions offered on this radio show are not that of WYYZ or the Pickens County GOP, but the panelists who are here on the show. So, first off, I want to introduce our panelists. We got first back, Jim Harris. Great to have you back, Mr. Jim. A new addition to the show this week, Bob Forbes.
Glad to be here.
All right. And Bill Cagle returning again. Thank you, Bill, for coming off the road.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And your host, William Bell. What we want to talk about this week from local issues as we move through them in the past couple of shows is kind of centralize on something on the tax assessments and who controls that and why not make it more transparent and even. As we've come through it, several things have come to light as far as some disparity as far as values on similar pieces of property and that type of thing. So, Jim, I want to throw it over there to you and stuff on that, the tax assessment. What's your thoughts on it? You had some ideas last week on the show.
Well, I thought we all basically came to an agreement that, seniors, and that's my take on tax assessments, are getting, I can't say what I can think, but I can say what I will try to say is that they're paying taxes they don't think they need to be taxed on. So how they are and what they are, I think that's open for debate. But I think as the senior population in this county grows, that's going to be a bigger and a bigger issue come election times. Maybe not this one, but maybe the next one. So somebody needs to be thinking about what it is specifically that the seniors can get some relief on in the future. As I be one of them, I'm interested.
And we're all rapidly moving in that same
yes.
direction.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Bob, anything that you'd like to put in there? I know you're not from the county, but we're pleased to have you from that big county to the south and east of us, Fulton.
Well, and we face the same situation. We've got a broad group of folks that are supporting some things that maybe not necessarily are part of our, we don't get benefit from. And I think there's a certain level at which everybody shares a responsibility for certain things. There's things that we all have in common, and there may be some places where it's disproportionate and where seniors in particular, because of the situation with incomes being limited and fixed, maybe there should be some consideration there. I'm deeply concerned that as our population gets older and older, that we need to really be thinking about how not just everybody in the county takes care of everybody else, but how I'm not for giving money to poor people. Let me make this clear. But I am for giving money to people who are helpless. And if somebody is helpless, I think it's important we step up to the plate, especially as conservatives, and show compassion. That goes with the tax structure as well. If somebody's is benefiting disproportionately from a service, then they need to bear the burden of having that provided to them. So if seniors have a need that's more than maybe, for instance, if younger people have school children and the money's going to school, that's fine. Seniors may have another need where they need to be hit with some type of a specific tax related to that need. But there needs to be some way to allocate things proportional to the use that people are getting out of it.
Okay. Mr. Ball?
Well, I agree with what Jim was saying, and along the same lines what Bob was just discussing. So again, what we need to have a debate, discussion, and come up with ideas what can be done and how it can be paid for. Because, like I said, if we cut one group without cutting services, it's still got to be paid for. So that means that you either have to increase the tax base, broaden the tax base, either through industry, business, tax revenue, sales tax, or income or property tax, or
make use of the state homeowner tax relief grants,
okay,
which would slightly offset the difference.
right.
And then you could use other things. You could easily have another penny sales tax on everything. But there are other avenues for this.
Right.
And getting the assessments in line. I apologize for interrupting.
No, Dave, no, you're didn't. Don't
Oh,
apologize.
yeah,
no,
and-
that was kind of
Okay, good.
similar
Please
lines.
put the gun down.
Sorry. And just so everybody knows, Mr. Transparency himself, I did not see him when he first was
He's
here.
so clear.
He's so clear and transparent that our friend David Leister has made in, and I know it's the kids' fault was why you were late. I know how that is. They're hard to get riled up, and
No, I actually work for a living. And
Oh.
I have hours to put in.
okay.
But with this homeowner relief grant, it will give a portion of that 40 to 50% of what we will lose from seniors. But then there are ways to get that back if we have, and I believe I heard you correctly, if we get the assessments back in line. I was looking at mine before I came here, and my next door neighbor, identical property, built right around the same time. Their assessment is $3,000 less than my house, and I haven't found the actual tax amount. But from what I've heard in neighbor conversations, their assessment, their taxes they pay are less than what I pay. This is a common story in this county.
Well, that's what we were kind of addressing last week, is that there's no rhyme or reason, it seems, or if there is a rhyme or reason, as Jim pointed out, it's not very clear. You have to be a Harvard doctorate with a PhD in nuclear engineering to...
You know how politically correct I am, and I wholeheartedly disagree with that assessment.
I think it's more of a BS degree is what I'm thinking it is.
I was trying to be...
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I think it's more of a BS degree. I think, and I'm going to throw this out there and stuff, as I did a little digging and have been fortunate to get some information from different sources, and that's something that I'm glad David did some additional research on other sources. The tax assessment, who it's controlled by, who that person reports to, and how it's handled even-handedly is, I believe, in the wrong department.
Yes, I agree with that too.
The tax assessor, and therefore the tax assessment, should be directly controlled by the tax commissioner's office.
Absolutely.
Today, it's not. So, and there needs to be a formula that's clear. And I don't know, David, if you'd thought about any kind of a that kind of a formula type thing, but I definitely.
clearly defined. I
Oh,
mean,
okay,
there is
great.
not a problem
Well, I didn't read. I saw.
with the fair market value assessment, and it's based on the property values in that section of the county. They can, and here's where I show my embarrassment. When the tax digest comes out, they have the percentage. It determines the mill rate. And the millage rate is then applied to the value of that property. Period.
Straight across the
So
board.
that amount should be the same for my neighbor as it is for me.
Absolutely. Should not be.
But somehow it's become convoluted. It's become, it hasn't been followed up on. How about that's for species I can get?
Yeah.
Okay, it hasn't been followed up to ensure that every taxpayer is paying what they should be. And somebody isn't paying more, somebody isn't paying less. It's just comfort.
Do you see that as being an administrational problem? Or?
Absolutely. It's an administrative problem from the top down. We're all held accountable. Rob's a good guy. He'll pat you on the back. I like him. But, you got to keep an eye on it. You're accountable.
Yeah.
And you have a board of assessors who oversees that department. I won't specifically say names, but the board of assessors is supposed to review and approve the assessments. Are they doing that? Are they being given the information so that they can make these assessments? I don't know that process in the county.
I wonder, did this start decades ago and it's just because that's what it's always done and you just pass it on, or did it start just in the last 5, 10, 15 years?
I think it's the word fair market value that comes into everything. How do you define that? Our development was built at a cost about the same for every house.
Right. Yeah.
The cost and labor and everything, because it all went up the same way.
Yeah.
So now you find that there's variations by as much as 50% in there on assessed values of the same size homes. I mean, if you go down the rolls, we talk a lot in our neighborhood, and we ask people, and the chief thing that they don't want to talk about is assessed valuation of their home.
Right.
Because they got a good thing going. I've got 5,000 more above you.
Has it always been assessed at that same rate, or did it change in the last?
It's changed in the last 3 to 4 years because of the economy and also because of all the foreclosures.
Yeah.
The people just walking away from the homes.
And I don't have a problem with that, provided that's what is over. It's broad spread to everyone.
That's the low and the high in the assessment.
But see, I was told by a certain county official a couple of years ago, property taxes went up a little bit, and I said, and again, I've been in the construction business my whole life, and I assume Bob, I've had the privilege of traveling the entire state of Georgia for a long time, and I said, how come our property taxes are going up instead of down when real estate at that time had gone down roughly 40% valuation? Well, Pickens County, we haven't been hit. I said, whose name shall be nameless, go nameless right now. I said, who are you trying to BS? I said, I'm in this business. I'm in the construction business. I see it daily.
Yeah.
Pickens County is not insulated. Pickens County's been hit just as much as any other county in the area has.
Yeah. Or how far you had to stick your head in the sand.
Well, yeah.
Well, then you can be insulated.
Exactly.
Well, and part of the problem is across the board there seems to be a disconnect between, and pardon me for using this, but Wall Street and Main Street.
Right.
The numbers that are published to tell us what things are seem to be telling us that we're doing better than most people on the street feel they're doing. And there's a struggle there, and when the county says, or the state, or whoever it might be, the federal government tells us, no, unemployment is this, or no, the market is this, and then I'm looking around me and thinking, am I the only one that am I crazy?
Yeah.
It's not that way. There's a tremendous disconnect, and just like in construction, if you got two guys using a ruler, and one of them is different than the other, you're going to end up with a funny looking house.
Mm-hmm. Or funny looking tax.
And so you've got to use the same measure
Across the board.
consistently across the board. And that has to do with appraisals, that has to do with the rules that you use for assessing things, that has to do with your evaluation, and all the controls that you put in place to make sure that everybody's behaving themselves.
Yeah. Well, so kind of to wrap this subject up, what I'm gonna ask is for the next radio show, I'm going to ask for somebody in that department that's in charge of it currently to be a guest on the radio show.
Should.
And that way we can explain it to the citizens of the county, how that formula works, and start to get that clearer picture of that.
Can I make a suggestion, Will?
Sure.
One of the questions needs to be, if I'm a homeowner and I think something's wrong,
What's
what
the
is the procedure
process?
for
Right.
getting that fixed?
Yeah.
Who do I call? What numbers do I call? Who do I write?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
how do I document the process to make sure that I'm taken care of appropriately?
Right.
You have to file when they first send you the
The
assessment,
assessment notice.
and you have 45 days to file that. You have to tell them why, and that's easy to do. You go to qpublic.net and you look at the assessed values of your neighbors for identical properties, and you can see the range on their assessed value. Now, again, I don't know where to find the actual payments that you're making. I haven't looked at that yet. But you can easily see who they are, and you've got 45 days to appeal it. The irony is I did appeal mine 2 or 3 years ago, and it's still higher than my neighbor's.
Right.
So that's what confuses me. Now, granted, I know everybody at this table loves me, but obviously I haven't made friends in the assessor's office.
Either that or the process for that is as far behind as the delinquent taxes are. That could be the other side of that. That could be the other thing, because you wait 3 years and a day, then you start working on the list. All right. Well, that kind of helps us roll into the next thing as far as process procedure. As we've had in a couple of shows before, we had the Seniors for Change, a group here in Pickens who is very concerned in trying to drill down on how the process for seniors for that tax exemption needs to be done. Now, my question this week is, who can really help make this happen? Is it our state representative? Is it the tax commissioner or the commissioners? It seems that you get varying sides of that, but I think what we've kind of drilled down to and we found is that any of those three people, the state representative, or the tax commissioner, or the commissioners, can help to start that process. Same thing on a future show, and not very far out, I'm going to ask for the offer for the 3 commissioners to be on the show, at least for the first half hour, and then we'll do a panel after that, but to have them on and talk about this specifically.
How much weight do the senior lobbyists in this state carry?
That's a good question. I would think
People that were here last week had said that they're going to take the approach of not going to the legislature, but going to where the money is.
and I found out it has to go through our state representative.
That just seemed like
it
the
can
right.
start 3 different places, but it's eventually going to have to be taken to the floor by our state senator. He puts it on, and it has to be approved at the state level.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've gotten that far down, but several people can start it, but we're gonna get some clarity. So I think the first half of the show will probably be offer for all 3 commissioners to be on, and then the second half of the show we'll probably have a panelist and panelist
good.
group and talk about it a different time.
Yeah, we need some people with the knowledge that work there.
There you go. All right. So to jump down to our next topic locally, and this is just something I want to throw in there and stuff. We just finished up Jeep Fest. We talked about that on one of the previous shows. The Marble Fest 2015, our first weekend in October 3rd is coming up fast and furiously. Just from your standpoint, I mean, Bill, you've been here since dirt. Jim and David and I are fairly new to the area, but so you've seen it grow, contract, and back and forth. Predictions on crowds and revenue generated.
I don't have a warm fuzzy about this year's Marble Festival. I talked to a friend of mine who is is going to have a booth space, and as of last Friday, I think, now this doesn't include food vendors, there's only around 50 or 55, I think, arts and craft vendors that have signed up so far, which seems way down.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not out, really hadn't done a lot of investigation and what have you on advertisement of the Marble Festival, but I haven't seen that much. The only thing I've seen even around here was, a week or so ago along 515 here, there was a couple of real estate type signs that said Marble Festival, October
Third
3rd,
and
4th. Yeah. So I mean, that's the
I
only
drove
thing I've
around.
seen. So, and it sounds like there's not a lot of they hired someone new. I forgot the lady's name. That her job is the Marble Festival.
Oh, okay.
Yet, I don't know. From what it sounds like, she has more of a real estate background than marketing background, and I just don't know. I haven't heard a lot or seen a lot
They're
of
not
action
advertising.
coming out of the Chamber of Commerce. So I honestly don't think that it's going to be. And I hope I'm wrong. I mean, gosh, I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't think it's going to be that great of a festival.
I don't hear anything, and
No.
I see one sign hanging across the road downtown.
Yeah, right there across the middle school.
That's it. And that doesn't tell you, that just says Marble Festival.
That's right, first weekend in October.
Why don't they advertise a .org you can go to see what's going to be the Marble Festival this year?
Yeah, they haven't. I don't even think they've got a Twitter campaign going on. I don't know if they have a Facebook campaign. And those are cheap, fast,
Effective.
effective ways of communicating and advertising, getting your message out. And I don't know if they're doing any of that. And again, I'm a quarry tour. I've been doing the quarry tours for I don't know, several years now, and I thoroughly enjoy doing it because I'm proud of my home, my county, and so I'm hoping that I'm missing something that I'm just not seeing or aware of the marketing and advertising going on. But
We need to get a hook in something that gets everybody excited every year.
yeah,
And
again,
we don't have that now.
I know Stephen last week said, well, Apple Festival, you have, crisp fresh apples you can go and pick and buy. That's true. But I mean, considering, like I said, the historical aspect of Marble and what have you, and the Trail of Tears started, maybe not here in Pickens County, but in this general area, there's a lot of history here that can be promoted. There's a lot of, marble, the world's finest marble is right here in Pickens County. And it's used in everything that you can think of. We come in contact, the average person, with probably 300 pounds of calcium carbonate marble dust every day. Because it's in everything from toothpaste to paints to carpet backing to rubbers, plastics, whatever. I mean, you name it, it's in it. Rolaids.
Yeah. Which I use a lot.
Yeah. Do they still use marble in kitchens? That
Pardon?
much? Do they use marble
Yeah,
in
some
kitchens
people
anymore?
do that.
Yeah.
Why don't they raffle off a kitchen counter or something?
Oh wow. Yeah.
I'd buy a ticket for that.
Range State.
Absolutely.
That's an
Absolutely.
awesome idea. Well, one of our Patriots actually reminded me here on the show that NoPickensNow.com has information on it, and that's great stuff. If you live here in Pickens and you already know about it,
Yeah.
What we need to do is, like say, should be a very active, PR campaign for down south.
Yep.
If Cherokee County, Cobb County, Fulton County don't know about your festival, nobody knows about
Yep.
it. So my prediction is that maybe from a revenue generated standpoint, and I hope I'm wrong, same thing, but I'm going to predict 50% of the revenue generated and the count in town that we had for Jeep Fest.
Well, I'd like to remind everybody, I think it's October 3rd and 4th.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep. Turn out, see
tell your family, friends.
We do.
Yep. Our
We
pride.
go every year. Just
Yeah, our
fun to-
pride and our future is the theme this year. Looking forward to having us in a parade again this year, the GOP. And I think Mr. Leister will be in charge of that parade driving the truck, or you're at least one of the co-chairmen of it. So we'll have our Lincoln Memorial built.
No Democrats?
I hope so.
No Democratic floats or anything?
They,
I'll pull a wagon.
there you
That's
go.
all we can afford.
All you got to do is go to Dollar General and buy lots of candy.
Oh, there you go.
You
There
do not want to run out of candy at that first curve. That's bad. Yeah. All right. Good deal. Next thing I want to kind of jump down on the state issues because some things have kind of come out this week. I've been getting some not Twitter feed because I'm not quite that technical yet, but on Facebook and some of my blog stuff I read is the 2016 legislative session. A couple of things that are out there. First one is a thing called the Pastors Protection Act.
Yeah.
And looking at it, the gist of it is, to me, it's either appeasement or is religious liberty. The way I read it, I don't really see a whole lot of improvement for religious liberty, but
I like the first word.
all right, Mr. Jim, I'll turn it over to your capable
I
hands.
don't. I saw that and I said, we have got better things to do than to worry about that issue. That's a non-issue as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's why I call it
Everything is
appeasement.
already in place to take care of every argument you can think of. I mean, it's a lightning rod. If you want to get somebody's attention, bring it up. That's good.
Yeah.
But what a waste of time and effort. I think that, like we said, that religion last week, that's between me and God and nobody else.
There you go. Yeah.
You want me to join your party, come up with a different topic, and I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah, and don't burn my legislative time printing copies of paper.
That's right.
They don't do it electronically down in Atlanta. They print shit. Excuse my friend. They print a lot of paper for every legislative session. David, your thoughts?
I just think everything is diversion. I mean, there are so many real topics to be discussed. I mean, the main thing that I keep going over and over again, and I think I'm becoming obsessed, is Article 2, Section 2, Paragraph 2, no treaties can be put in place unless the Congress agrees and votes on it. And then both parties are sitting up there talking about 34 Democrats. Well, that's not enough. If there are 34 who are for it, how many is that? I don't do math well. 66.
That should have an opinion.
For it.
Yeah.
That could stop this terrible treaty. I look at Europe, I look at everything going on there, I look at our southern border and the influx of every different kind of person, not just Hispanic, not Latin America, and I think that things like this, and who's offended by what meal, I mean, it's just a diversion, and we're all being sold out.
Yep.
But then again, that's just my opinion.
Yeah. All right, Bob.
When you bring up the, I guess, front and center this week has been the contrast of someone whose religion might be in opposition to the Constitution. For instance, Sharia law.
Yeah.
And what we believe in the United States. If you want to start stoning homosexuals and making women wear scarves and not being able to drive, and at that point, I think you really do have to evaluate. If I'm asked a question about can I support one, it has to do with whether they're willing to subordinate their beliefs to the Constitution. If they're willing to do that, then it really doesn't matter what they believe. If they aren't willing to do that, it matters everything what they believe. Yeah. But that is the point, is when we swear as a political officer to uphold the Constitution, to defend the United States, enemies within, enemies without.
Will they be domestic or foreign?
Will they be domestic or foreign? At that point, I think that I don't think you need any more law. But what you do need is to clarify what the law already says, because a lot of people get fuzzy when the liberal media starts to stir them up.
Well, I don't think it's just the liberal media. It's like I said, it's media in general. They're all trying to throw something up, to get a stir. But
the problem is, on local, state, and national levels, they do not keep their oaths.
Right.
It doesn't matter about their religion. Christian, Jew, Buddhist, Muslim, whoever is in office, fails to keep their oath of office within a short period of time of getting to where they are.
That's right.
So, again, this is just a diversion. And it's just destroying our nation, our culture, our morality. It's just diluting everything to the lowest common denominator.
I think we as a community and as a state and as a country are kind of sick of listening every year to the same thing being discussed, and then as soon as somebody wins, they put it back in the drawer again and go on with what they think they want to do now.
Empty promises.
It's like Trump said, I'm not going to let our enemies know my plans. There's a certain amount of truth to that.
Yeah.
But then again, everybody come out now and says, you can't be a president unless you can tell us what you're going to do. I can guarantee you 99 and 9/10% of everybody elected president really don't know what they're going to do in there.
Yeah,
It changes from the moment they step in the office.
Yeah, till after, it's usually about January 22nd when they sit in on their first military Joint Chiefs of Staff meeting, that they get that OF minute.
That's right.
Because that's when it hits you and you go, really? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. It's because it is need to know. And you didn't need to know when you were campaigning, but today, buddy, it's all on you.
Yeah.
Or her,
That's
So,
true.
Yeah. There's something else I want to bring up on the state level, which is near and dear to my heart. Transgender in Georgia. Worth the cost for the benefit. And the reason I bring it up is there's actually a bill being brought up from a representative down in South Georgia to allow those prisoners in our system in Georgia to have their transgender issue resolved while they're in our penal system, and the taxpayers of Georgia pay for it. Anybody want to throw in I know what my opinion
It
is.
shouldn't even be.
No.
It shouldn't even be brought up, discussed. Well, number one, you're talking about what? 100 people maybe in the state. Of course, it's such a small number. And if you're decide one day that you're transgendered, and if I woke up tomorrow and decided that I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger, does that make me Arnold Schwarzenegger? And am I going to start pumping steroids? That's ridiculous. It's just, if you want to change your appearance, your appendages, what have you, hey, go for it. But it's your dime, not mine.
Yeah. Trouble is, it is our dime now. That's the problem.
But that's my point.
Yeah.
Where do we stop all this insane giveaways, handouts, what have you? Where's the line in the sand? It's kind of like the, when does affirmative action end when we got all these employment laws? And, if racism is such a big issue as the media portrays that it is, I'd like to meet 100 minorities, whether they're whites, blacks, Hispanic, whatever, that has been discriminated based on solely on their appearance, their race, their genes. Show me these people. 'Cause I challenge anyone to come up with 100 people that were discriminated based on their something other than their qualifications. So.
Qualifications usually is the key.
Right. But I can tell you right now, I went into a job interview within a company I worked for years ago. I knew I wasn't going to get it because I was a white male, and because they were on a big diversity kick. And I told the guy, I said, I know I'm not the number one choice, even though I'm the most experienced, and I'm the one that could probably do the best job based on my experience. I didn't get the jobs, but I was discriminated against. But
I did that
that's
too.
not called discrimination. That's that's called diversity. Diversifying your workforce.
I had a different name for it when I was in a couple states up when I moved from California here. Then they sold the company a year later, and we had to look for jobs in that location. You're not a member of this good old boy network here. You better look someplace else. The guy at HR just told me that.
Yeah.
Really?
So I had to leave. We moved out.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Is it true? I don't know. But I went in there and had some good job offers or interviews, and they hired their own.
That was in the inside of your existing company,
Yeah.
or after
Outside, after they sold it to somebody else.
and you had to basically re-interview.
That's right.
Ooh.
And good interviews, and good interviews. But
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's same with me.
I know it's just that's I can appreciate that to a point. They're looking out for the people who live in this town. Well, I now live there, but I'm not really, and I'm looking for words, and I'm not gonna say anymore.
But where do we draw a line in the sand? I mean, we say enough's enough of this.
We can only quantify so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, David, I can see you're rolling around a thought, and you're just.
I'm not as smart as everyone at this table. Well, maybe you. But it's very basic. I mean, I can't remember a lot of things, but I remember if you do the crime, you better be ready to do the time.
That's right.
Hey.
And nowhere in that saying does it include, and if you want operations to change your gender, do a crime, and then while you're in jail, we'll pay for everything.
Right.
If you're in jail and you're confused about your orientation, there's always somebody that'll help you get through that. I mean,
Especially in prison, I'm sure. There is.
Oh yeah.
It does seem to me that there are a number of people recently who have decided that they prefer to be a different race. There are a number of folks that would prefer to be, a different gender. And the question is, whose obligation is it to carry that to its fruition? And I don't have all the answers, but I have a pretty strong feeling it's not mine. And if somebody happens to have been incarcerated, my thought is do their time and then figure it out when they get out.
Yeah. But just as a little sidebar on that same issue, our friend from a previous radio show we discussed, Miss Kim Davis, the county clerk in Kentucky. She turned down somebody at her office either today or yesterday. A gentleman came in and said he wanted to get married. He wanted to marry Jesus, and she declined to give him the marriage application because both parties are supposed to be present. His comment back to her was, "Jesus is everywhere, Miss Davis." To me, that's just an example of, if you let somebody get away with one thing, somebody else is going to try something a little bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the news services and the morning programs are keeping this rolling because she was on the program for about 20 minutes this morning,
Oh my Lord.
taking her through her whole history. And
Yeah, it's amazing.
it's amazing.
And as somebody who, and personally, my spiritual life's deeply important to me, so I don't take anybody else's lightly.
True.
But there is a tremendous distinction between the sacrament of marriage and a civil license that somebody gets downtown. That civil license without the sacrament doesn't make me any more or less married. All it does is the government recognizes my tax status.
That's it. That's what it's for.
And my living status.
That's right.
And so, to me, it has nothing to do with your religious beliefs. It has to do with your tax status. And from what I read in my Bible, it says, what belongs to Caesar is Caesar's. What belongs to God is God.
There you go.
So I think it's pretty laid out for us.
Good way to explain it. And then the other bill that I saw, which is near and dear to my heart, actually no pun intended here, is the military exemption bill, which would allow active military, retired military to have some exemptions in their taxation once they're out of the military, drawing their pensions, which, since '99 I've had mine cut 3 times and had to go to my state senator and once U.S. congressman to fight it, because the VA doesn't even call you back. How they want to pay for it is to raise the cigarette tax in the state from 28 cents a pack to 65 cents a pack. Anybody want to weigh in on that one?
I'm way on one end of that discussion.
Okay.
I quit smoking.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, I think that supporting the men and women who volunteered to risk their life, and some of them die for us, it's a fundamental obligation of every man, woman, and child in this country to support at the most basic level those men and women who've done that. And we're not free from that just because we don't happen to be in an active war right now. That wasn't the agreement when they went in, and nobody has a right to change it now.
I agree. I mean, that and our veterans and what have you, they seem like they're always struggling and fighting for every supposed benefit. If you're an illegal alien, you've got more benefits than our servicemen and women.
True.
There's something wrong there, big time wrong there. People on welfare that are career welfare recipients have more benefit than our veterans do. There's something seriously wrong and flawed. And I'm not looking down on people on welfare. I mean, I think that if you're truly in need, that's one thing, you deserve it. But if you're a career recipient, something needs to be done.
And to speak to that, you always hear, I mean, you see it everywhere, Facebook, emails, when they start to threaten people, they're always threatening social security, veterans, but they're never threatening welfare. And that's something that needs to change.
I would agree with that. That's a good statement.
And I was getting off the subject, but when people are welfare, since our beloved rulers took office, and his mind ruler, it's sort of doubled.
Right.
Pretty close to doubling the number of
illegals.
Well, not all of them, but no, not all of them. I'm not willing to paint that big of a broad stroke there, but the poverty, the number of people in poverty has almost doubled. People drawing welfare is almost doubled. He's creating his base, and then our veterans are getting cut. Our people coming back maimed from Afghanistan and Iraq are disabled. They're struggling to get their benefits, but yet we're sitting over here giving a welfare princess, welfare queen, welfare king, whatever they want. I mean, it's amazing. You go to the grocery store, even around here. We all work for a living, except for Jim, he's retired, but we've all worked for a living. I'm making a decent living, but, I have to live within a budget. And I got a family of 4, and you're shopping around for the overall best value, and here comes Miss EBT card recipient who's got a buggy full of all kinds of junk food and steaks and whatever, and I'm thinking, there's something seriously wrong here.
Could I add a local note to that? We have a veteran right now who's having a gallbladder issue. VA said he can be seen in December, I think was the date. Well, he operates right here at the Take Forward, Veteran Automotive, and he's out today because he had to go get his gallbladder looked at. He was out the day before. This is a man and his wife trying to set up a business and survive.
And pay taxes.
And
and employ people.
And he's a vet. And the Veterans Administration just says, we'll see you in 3 or 4 months. And my comment is, they say they'll see you in 3 or 4 months if you're still alive.
Right.
And that's pretty insane.
Yeah, I know him.
Now what I'd like to do is kind of bring this full circle. I mean, the Passengers Protection Act, the transgender in Georgia, and that military exemption bill. From my standpoint, I picked those 3 out of a whole bunch of things on the 216 session that's coming up. All 3 of those have one thing in common. They're bills being put forth by our state representatives that are all a total waste of our time, our efforts, and our money. None of those groups need to have it be legislation that we turn around and the military exemption bill, if it needs to be paid, it doesn't need to be paid by raising the taxes on the cigarettes from 28 to 65. It needs to be paid by making the VA military benefits run the way they're supposed to run. Not abuse the veterans, run them efficiently and effectively. The transgender in Georgia, like I say, shouldn't even be a topic. We got psychiatrists in every state, county, prison in the state of Georgia. Let them have a discussion, and when they get out, they can do whatever they want to, but not while they're incarcerated for whatever crime they did. And the Pastors Protection Act, to me, that's straight up appeasement. It has nothing to do with strengthening religious freedoms or choices. It's all a waste of our tax money and our time that legislators need to be working on real issues.
So why are they putting it on the agenda?
Because if you don't put up a bill to your constituents, you really haven't done anything. It doesn't really matter what the bill is, because people don't look at it. They say Joe Smith from South Georgia has submitted 10 bills. Oh, he's working for us.
How many were on that list you went through and you picked out those 3?
27.
Sounds
like the
camouflaging is taking place early this year.
It was a tough decision to narrow it down to these
It
3.
is.
Because I think about 24 out of the 27 were nothing but cannon fodder. That's all they were.
Camouflage.
Yeah.
I would like to say, I think that this next election, we've reached a tipping point. And I think that a lot of folks are just angry enough and just fed up enough to be willing to vote maybe in a way that they haven't ever voted before.
Mm-hmm. And I hope that's a wholesale change for our friends on the right, our friends on the left, and our friends in the middle, that we get out in droves and we vote for fresh faces and then hold them accountable.
Well,
Bob, that's what we talked a couple of weeks ago, was that the reason Donald Trump is leading in the polls is he may not be everyone's ideal candidate, but he's bringing subjects to the forefront that would have been ignored had he not been in the race. And people like the fact that he doesn't mind telling it like it is, and that he doesn't take crap from the right, left, or middle, or journalists, or whatever. And so, that is refreshing. And the top 3 candidates or 3 of the top 4 candidates have never held elective office. So
there's been this sham going on for as long as I can remember.
Decades.
And finally somebody's had the guts to say the emperor has no clothes.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Well,
You just look at the price of last Friday or Saturday when these people are buying these pharmaceutical companies that make generic products.
yes.
And they bring them back up to the Class A products now. Went from $3 a pill to $600 a pill. And that was across the board in some things.
But to draw it back, and I'd really like to emphasize this because I know this is close to Will's heart, it's not just a matter of a popular vote. It is a matter of getting involved in the polls. It's a matter of the people could elect popularly somebody, and then that convention get brokered, and they get ripped off for the very people they want to have.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we have to be smart, not just in the way we vote, but in how we participate in the process, and the levels we participate, and the force and where that force is exerted. And so I would encourage you, Will, as this goes on, to really make this a platform for talking about how empowering people to get involved in the process in ways beyond just their vote.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I agree. Yeah.
that's something.
Good comment.
As we get into the election year and into the primary season next year, whether it be the Democrat primary or the Republican primary, we want to clarify where people can get absentee ballots, where their polls are, get the locations, make sure that information is out, because I think every American needs to have a voice, and that clarity for most people has been clouded, And
If you've never voted before in your life, this is the year.
this is whatever your thoughts are, you need to express your voice. Yeah. And that kind of brings me around to the last topic I want to talk about tonight is on the Democrat presidential debates are finally getting ready to kick off. Who on stage do you believe will deliver the best message? I'll kind of start it. I really, somewhat like the Donald Trump situation, I see Bernie Sanders has done well out there on the campaign trail, and I really feel like of who's declared right now that he will probably deliver his message the best. He's got, older citizens engaged. He's doing well on college campuses. So I mean, I think whatever his message is, I think he'll get it out there, and he's staying on track too. He doesn't get off point very often.
He's
I've
bringing
listened to
it.
him about 3 times.
He's bringing everybody else along with him too.
Yeah.
He has set the tone for what the Democrats are going to talk about.
Yeah.
He's forcing them to say, "Hey, I've talked about that. You need to talk about that too. What are you going to do about it?"
Yeah. Yeah.
If that happens, good.
Absolutely. Yeah, 'cause
If it doesn't happen, Bernie may be the guy that will pull it off, but I don't think he's going to be the president because
but if he can force real subjects out,
I know we may have another candidate. We don't know yet. It's a long ways away,
Yeah, I know Mallory's he's actually started to commit or comment on things that Bernie Sanders had brought up because he doesn't have any choice. Because they're going to turn around and say, well, kind of like the CNN debate. Well, Bernie said this. What's your opinion? So.
Well, also this morning they said Joe Biden is going to jump in next month too.
I think it's a good thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that yet.
Joe needs to do it a third time.
Well, Uncle Joe
more
can
the
do
merrier.
it, but that's what he is. He's Uncle Joe.
Yeah. The more the merrier, though. If he gives out one good idea that turn around and changes things for the better in America, I'm all for it. Bring it on.
It's a little litmus test we need to do, and that's who's got what written across their chest when they're running. Are you a well-known Democrat or a well-known Republican, been in the parties for the last 30 years? I'd like somebody who hasn't been in the party for more than 5 years to be running for president.
Yeah.
Well, Bernie's an independent.
I meant O'Malley. I
isn't
said Mallard, but O'Malley, yeah.
Yeah, he's an independent that works with Democrats.
he? Right, but
So why?
I could just go on and on with this one here with his admitted political affiliation, but I'll refrain. But I don't know. I mean, I think people are getting like at the end of the Clinton term. Even the people that liked him, that had Clinton fatigue syndrome, they're feeling the same thing with Hillary.
Went down a hill, yeah.
And again, so it's.
Yeah.
If we're going to talk politics, you're going to need to get some beer here.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to throw something out there as our closing subject to talk about tonight. And it's not something we got on here. Actually, Matt Youngblood brought this up to me, and just kind of a balance of things. This week in the news already, we've seen where Peanut Corporation of America the CEO was found guilty of forging documents to cover tests that were done on product that went out with salmonella and poisoned 100 people or so across 20 states. He was charged, and he's going to be spending 28 years in prison, and he's not a young man, so you could pretty much consider that a life sentence. 24 hours later, GM got charged with forging documents, misrepresenting the truth on the issues with their cars that killed 300 and something people. They got a fine for $980 million, but not one single person is going to prison.
Same with Volkswagen too.
And yeah.
Tribute to the Clinton Foundation?
Well,
The Peanut Corporation probably didn't. That might be why they.
Okay.
yeah.
They got put on that hit list, yeah.
So I just want to bring that up as far as we're talking about disparities and transparency.
Is there a coincidence
Those
there
two things to me are about as disparaging in the judicial system as you can get when you look at the size of companies. This individual in South Georgia who's the CEO is going to jail and paying the money, but an American, quote, icon.
That's in the hip pocket with the government. Yeah, that's another good analogy there.
Yeah, all right.
So with these topics being discussed right now, do you start to see the assessment process in Pickens County a little clearer?
I think you may be onto something. And with that,
Sounds good
I
to
want to
me.
close out the show a few minutes early tonight. I want to thank everybody for being here again, and look forward to next week.
Thank
All
you,
right?
Will.
Thanks.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.